Today we come together as one Lansing community to wrap our arms around the family, friends, and comrades of firefighter Dennis Rodman.
Dennis lives on. While we struggle in our sorrow today, we can rejoice in the fact that today is not the end. It is not the end for us, and it is not the end for Dennis.
His last alarm, he's going home. Welcome home, Rhodey. Welcome home.
A final call with no answer. Thousands in uniform promised to answer that call in Dennis Rodman's memory.
Rest easy, brother. We will take it from here.
In a grand show of respect, fire departments from across the country filled the Breslin Center with an honor guard standing guard by his casket, bagpipes, and stories of Dennis Rodman's life.
Dennis never panicked. You knew that when he was with you, things were going to be okay. He had your back.
He was going to be a dad, and I knew he was going to be a great one.
He was generous, he was genuine, he was adventurous, and he had that lively sense of humor.
And with the flag draping over his casket folded, Lansing Fire handed it to Rodman's widow, Kate, with a message. Her husband will always be remembered a hero.
Dennis would be a bit embarrassed, I believe, at the notion of being called a hero, but we all know that that's exactly what he is.
We love you, and you'll truly be missed.
In Lansing, Krista Amendola, 6 News.
The day after an EF1 tornado touched down in the city of Portland, residents are trying to clean the devastation left behind. Major roads are back open and dump sites will be placed around the city for people. And while the city appreciates what neighboring communities have done, they are asking people to stay out of the city if you can.
If you're not a resident of the city of Portland, we do request that you stay out of the area. Again, this is so emergency services crews can continue to do their job and their efforts in the cleanup. So again, please stay out of Portland at this time if you're not a resident.
And while they have a long road of cleanup ahead of them, thankfully no serious injuries or deaths were reported.
We're just very fortunate. I think when people look at the buildings that were demolished here, we're so fortunate there were no loss of life. So that was great.
Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley is from the Portland area. He was in town helping with the cleanup. He knows the people here and says they will bounce back.
It's really resiliency. I've not run into a single person that's down on themselves. Right now it's about just picking ourselves up and fixing it and putting it back to the way it was, or maybe even better than before.
Now, the National Weather Service has an update. They say that the tornado had winds up to 110 miles per hour. The tornado was on the ground for 4 miles with 50 to 100 yards wide. And surprisingly, they only had one minor injury.
Blue.
I'm going to skip you. Then I'm going to make you draw 4 and call it green.
By outward appearances, you'd probably never expect these two card players to be best buddies.
I'm out.
You out their ass?
Jaywan, a teenage boy from a big city outside of Detroit.
Shuffle them up.
And Craig.
Just take your time and just slowly go back.
A grown man from a small town in Genesee County.
How about red? Uno.
Uno.
Get the boat out this year?
Mm-hmm.
Me too. It'll be fun. We'll go tubing.
But these two have formed a lifelong bond that goes well beyond playing Uno. Truth be told, this pair never would have met unless something big had happened. It did. Something really big and heartbreaking and miraculous 3 years ago.
The other day I took Max for a ride and he didn't want to come out of the car.
You see, they both basically saved each other's lives.
I'm glad things are going well for you.
But to tell their story, you have to start at the beginning for each of them. Jaewon was born 14 years ago with a rare kidney condition which forced him, beginning at 7 months of age, to be on kidney dialysis. It's a long and arduous process, consisting of going to the hospital, getting an IV needle poked in his arm 4 days a week for 6 hours at a time. That time commitment to purify his blood, keeping him alive, left little time for him or his mother to do anything else.
I always wanted to be a real boy.
To be a real boy for Jaewon meant to be able to do things like most kids do and take for granted. Run, play, eat anything they want. But due to restrictions in his diet and activity, Jaewon couldn't do any of that. Instead, he was mostly tethered to this machine.
To become a real boy would take a kidney transplant, but the list is long for those waiting for one like Jaewon. Right now, Gift of Life Michigan estimates over 3,500 people are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant.
I have hope and I have faith, and I'm praying that, yes, it's one out there.
This video was produced by Gift of Life Michigan 4 years ago. Jaewon became the poster boy for the organization to encourage people to sign up and be an organ donor. His video was shown to all kinds of people, civic groups, on YouTube, and in hospitals, with the ultimate goal, saving lives. But to save a life means someone has to lose theirs. Fast forward to May 9th, 2012, a day that Craig will never forget.
He had come home from the outpatient.
His son, 16-year-old John, was being treated in the hospital for a prolonged depression.
He'd come home and I'd ask him how he was doing. He gave me that teenage look. Walked into his bedroom. I tried talking to him again. He just said, "Get out."
John stayed in his bedroom. Craig left to answer the phone. He says a while later he noticed his son go down to the basement.
I went down there about 5 minutes behind him and found him. And I didn't have the strength to save him. I couldn't get him down.
John had hanged himself.
Yeah, sorry.
John was rushed to Genesis Health System in Flint, but didn't make it. And while Craig's family gathered in shock and grief there, they were approached by Gift of Life Michigan to donate John's organs. At first, they were reluctant until they saw this video of Jaewon.
I was actually in a room with John, and my family had seen the video. You know, they said to me, "You really need to watch this." And I seen Jaewon on there, you know, boy that had struggled all his life as well.
Craig said if something good could come from something so bad, this seemed like the right decision.
If something was like this was going to happen, we could save somebody else's life.
4 years of high school, 4 years of college, a semester at dental school, not one person called me. Not one teacher, not one coach, not one therapist, not one friend. No one called me. Why didn't someone call me? To look at the way he looked, and they said, "He's an adult. We can't call you up. He's an adult."
The moment TJ Warshevsky turned 18, the fight to beat his anorexia turned into a fight to save his life.
TJ walked in to the doctor, peace out. You know, he doesn't have to tell him what he weighs. He doesn't have to go. You know, yeah, I can't find out what he weighs. Nobody will talk to you as a parent because he's 18
After TJ's first term at Albion College, Susan had had enough. He was 5'5" and down to 85 pounds. Knowing how important college was to TJ, she refused to continue paying for it until he went to a residential treatment program in Wisconsin. After 2 months, TJ gained 20 pounds and said all the right things in order to go home. That's what this illness does. He did go home. He shouldn't have. And it didn't take long before TJ was losing weight again. His body, his mind, and his effort was fading away. 2 more stays at the treatment center failed. Even a car accident and a short hospital stay wasn't enough to scare him into eating. Nothing and no one could help him. Near the end, TJ wouldn't consume any calories, nor fat, nor sugar. His body was shutting down. And soon, this once active athlete doing 1,000 sit-ups a day, spending 4 hours at the gym, hours playing sports, taking a full load of classes, he got so weak and so frail that walking up the stairs, carrying a platter of food was just too much. And after a semester at dental school, Susan got the phone call she'd been fearing for years.
I started screaming, and then my sisters said, no, no, no. She knew right away. And everybody started screaming and crying, and I tried to his last breath to get vitamins in him, but it was too late. He didn't make it. His heart just had enough. He couldn't survive it anymore.
TJ died doing sit-ups. He was just 22 years old. It was Valentine's night.
It all started with aviation, or lack of a better word, the art of flying.
One of the reasons why thunderstorms is such a problem is that you literally can't fly into them, and if you have a lot of dense clouds obscuring the way, it makes it very difficult to see these things.
Using his degree in aerospace, Dr. David Straley started researching ways to bring technology that's used in meteorology to medicine.
We're using ground-based, highly accurate radars that operate very similar to an MRI scanner in finding thunderstorms that are obscured by dense clouds, just like the problem we're having with mammograms, with the dense breast tissue obscuring active breast cancer.
Dr. Straley, who taught people how to fly while he was learning how to practice medicine, got a phone call from a student one day.
He called up and said, I have a real problem. One of my daughters has breast cancer and I don't think she's going to survive.
That led to a 2-year research study where he scanned 671 women who had negative mammograms. And what he found is astonishing.
The research showed that we were picking the cancers up 4 to 6 years sooner than the mammograms in women with dense breast tissue.
According to Dr. Straley, mammograms are less than 50% accurate in women with dense breasts, meaning that a woman could be checked off as good to go when there could be a slight chance she isn't.
Mammograms have saved a lot of lives, and a lot of women have died because mammograms couldn't pick the disease up. It's almost 50-year-old technology.